No, you just gotta find somewhere else to park. I'm like, who the fuck is you talking to? You feel me? Like, who the fuck is you talking to for real, even talking like that? Like, that be the shit, and that's what make a motherfucker be wanting to get into it with y'all, because y'all ain't got no respect. What's up, bro? What's up? Hell no.
Kevin Watson was a 42-year-old man who lived in Chicago, Illinois. Many people knew him by the nickname Tug. He was part of the South Austin neighborhood on the city's west side, a place he had spent most of his life. He was not only known in the streets, but also through social media. Kevin often used Facebook Live, where he regularly streamed videos of himself. He enjoyed showing parts of his day, talking directly to people, and sharing moments in real time. For Kevin, being live online became part of his routine. Family was a big part of Kevin's life. He was a father with children who loved him, and he was also a son and brother. His relatives described him as someone who liked to talk and who had a presence people noticed. Losing him meant more than losing a man in a video. It meant losing a family member who held many roles. Kevin was also known for his style. He liked to wear jewelry, and his chain was one of his most visible items. To him, it was a sign of fashion and personality. But what he wore also made him noticeable, both to his followers online and to people around him. Growing up in South Austin meant Kevin was familiar with the challenges of living in an area often marked by crime. Despite this, he continued to make his home there. It was where his family lived, where his friends stayed, and where he remained connected. By the time of his death, Kevin had built a reputation as someone who was outspoken, social, and present online. His name carried weight in his community and on Facebook. The way he connected with others meant that many people recognized him, both offline and on the internet. In the end, Kevin Watson's life was a mixture of family responsibilities, community ties, and a public image shaped by social media. His background shows he was more than a victim of crime. He was a man who lived, who connected with people, and whose presence was felt in Chicago and beyond. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below. Where are you tuning in from? What are your thoughts as this story unfolds? Your voice matters. These are real people, real tragedies, and real lessons we can't ignore. Share this video with someone you care about. It could make all the difference. Welcome to Unseen Crime Dossiers, your home for spine-chilling cases, haunting before mysteries, and deep dives into the world of crime. From jaw-dropping real-life events to groundbreaking forensic discoveries, we're here to uncover the truth behind the most gripping investigations. Step inside, examine the evidence, and lose yourself in the shadows of true crime. On the evening of August 13th, 2025, Kevin Watson stood in a parking lot on the 5000 block of West Madison Street in Chicago's South Austin neighborhood. He had his phone on, broadcasting himself through a Facebook Live video, as he often did. During the stream, an unknown vehicle entered the lot. It slowed down as it approached, and a person inside focused on Kevin. The situation turned serious almost immediately, shifting from a calm moment to a violent one in just seconds. The attacker moved quickly. Reports say the confrontation was about Kevin's chain, the jewelry he wore around his neck. A dispute broke out, and then a gun appeared. The Facebook Live camera continued running as the incident unfolded, showing the chaos in real time. Gunfire followed. Kevin was struck in the chest, the shot dropping to the ground while the stream captured the aftermath. The video did not stop. It continued to record even after he had fallen, leaving viewers watching the event unfold live. Emergency responders were called to the scene. Kevin was rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital by paramedics who tried to save him. Despite their efforts, the injury was too severe, and he was pronounced dead not long after arriving. The suspect fled in the same vehicle and has not been identified. Police immediately began their investigation, gathering details from the scene and from a live video that had been shared across social media. The crime became a case not just of violence in the city, but of violence witnessed publicly. Kevin's murder, captured and broadcast online, left behind evidence that investigators and the public could both see. The crime was no longer hidden. It was already part of the digital world, where millions of people would later view the recording of his final moments. News of the shooting spread rapidly through Chicago. By the time the night ended, many residents in South Austin already knew what had happened. Word traveled even faster online, where the Facebook Live video had continued to circulate. Kevin Watson's family learned of his death through phone calls and messages. For them, the sudden loss was devastating, and the fact that it was recorded made it even harder. His children, siblings, and relatives were forced to confront the reality that his final moments were public. Police secured the scene and began collecting evidence. Detectives searched for shell casings, reviewed footage, and took witness statements. The video itself became a central part of their case, providing a timeline of what had taken place. On social media, clips of the recording spread to millions of viewers. What was once a personal live stream turned into a viral crime video shared across different platforms. The widespread exposure made Kevin's death known far beyond Chicago. Community members responded with shock. Vigils were organized, candles were lit, and posters with Kevin's name and photograph were displayed in the neighborhood. Friends and neighbors gathered to remember him, turning parking lots and sidewalks into memorial spaces. The incident also drew media attention. Local and national outlets reported on the case, highlighting the unusual nature of a homicide streamed live. Headlines called attention to both the violence itself and the way it reached audiences everywhere. Despite the public attention, no suspect was immediately taken into custody. The investigation continued, with police urging anyone with information to step forward. The lack of an arrest left the case open and the community unsettled. Detectives focused their attention on the vehicle seen during the incident. Witnesses described it as arriving quickly and leaving just as fast after the shooting. Surveillance cameras from nearby businesses were checked to trace its route before and after the attack. Authorities examined the firearm evidence. Ballistics experts worked to determine the type of weapon used and compared it with records of previous shootings in the area. Each detail gathered helped narrow down potential suspects connected to crime. Investigators also studied Kevin Watson's online presence. Since the crime occurred during a live stream, his social media accounts became a key source of information. They looked for comments, threats, or patterns of communication that might explain why he was targeted. The video itself served as a direct timeline. Frame by frame, officers analyzed the footage to note every movement, sound, and detail visible on screen. They combined this material with witness testimonies to build a clearer sequence of events. Detectives worked long hours conducting interviews. Friends, relatives, and community members were questioned to find out whether Kevin had conflicts or problems in the days leading up to his death. Each account was reviewed and compared to uncover consistent leads. Community tips also became part of the investigation. Some residents reached out to share what they saw or heard, while others provided names of individuals they believed might be involved. Police encouraged these efforts, knowing that local knowledge could make the difference. As days turned into weeks, the case remained active. Officers continued pursuing leads, checking databases, and coordinating with other divisions. Although no immediate arrest was made, the investigation pressed forward with the goal of uncovering the identity of the shooter. News of Kevin Watson's death spread quickly across the South Austin area. Local residents gathered in small groups to discuss what had happened, sharing their thoughts in shock over the sudden violence. Word of mouth combined with social media posts, keeping the tragedy in constant circulation. Community leaders stepped forward to address the concerns of the neighborhood. They spoke at gatherings and urged residents to stay alert and united. Their focus was on promoting awareness and preventing further incidents, stressing the need for collective vigilance. A memorial began to form near the parking lot where the shooting occurred. Flowers, candles, and handwritten messages were placed there by friends and strangers alike. Each item served as a symbol of remembrance, turning the space into a quiet reflection point. Local organizations played a role in responding to the tragedy. Some groups organized meetings to discuss safety improvements, while others offered support services for residents struggling with fear or grief. Their presence added structure to the community's response. Neighbors also expressed frustration with ongoing violence in the area. Conversations in homes, stores, and street corners highlighted concerns about safety as people compared this case with other recent events. Many viewed the shooting as part of a larger pattern. Youth in the community were especially impacted. Teachers and mentors worked to provide guidance, reminding them of positive outlets during a time when uncertainty was strong. The event sparked discussions about how to shield younger generations from similar dangers. Through vigils, discussions, and organized meetings, the community demonstrated resilience. While the pain of the loss remained, collective action and unity became the most visible response. The area stood together, determined not to let the event define their future. Local news stations were among the first to report on the shooting. Their broadcast provided details of the location, the time of the incident, and the victim's age. The information was repeated across multiple outlets, ensuring that the story reached a wide audience within hours. Print and digital publications added to the coverage with headlines highlighting the fatal shooting in South Austin. Articles summarized the known facts, including the police statement and the confirmation of the victim's death at the hospital. Each report maintained a focus on the developing investigation. Television coverage included live shots from the crime scene. Viewers were shown the parking lot blocked off with police tape, with officers and investigators moving between vehicles. Reporters delivered updates directly from the site, underscoring the seriousness of the event. Radio stations also played a role, broadcasting short bulletins throughout the day. Their updates gave commuters and listeners the key points: the victim's identity, the location, and the lack of an arrest. This kept the case in constant circulation. Social media became a central platform for sharing information. Posts included photos of the scene, personal tributes to Kevin Watson, and commentary on neighborhood safety. The rapid spread of content kept the story alive long after the first reports. National outlets briefly picked up the case, linking it to broader discussions about violence in major cities. Though their coverage was shorter, it connected the local tragedy to a larger narrative, giving the story added visibility beyond Chicago. By the end of the week, the shooting had become one of the most discussed incidents in the community. From television to online platforms, the consistent flow of information ensured that Kevin Watson's case remained a prominent topic in both news cycles and neighborhood conversations. Detectives from the Chicago Police Department began their work immediately after shooting. The first task was securing the area and collecting physical evidence. Shell casings were recovered, and the positioning of vehicles in the lot was carefully documented for the case file. Investigators spoke to anyone who had been near the location at the time. Witness statements were taken to build a timeline of events and identify any potential leads. Some accounts described seeing a vehicle approaching before the gunfire began, while others noted the direction it fled afterward. Surveillance cameras in the area were reviewed. Businesses along Madison Street were asked to provide their footage, which could help trace the movement of the suspect's car. Detectives compared these videos to traffic cameras in hopes of identifying license plate numbers. Forensic teams examined the evidence recovered from the scene. Ballistics testing was ordered on the shell casings to determine if the weapon had been linked to any other shootings in the city. This step was considered crucial for connecting the case to wider patterns of violence. Officers also researched the victim's background to understand whether he had any conflicts that might have contributed to the crime. This process included speaking to family members, reviewing social activity, and checking records for any previous disputes. The investigation expanded into nearby neighborhoods where similar crimes had been reported. Police presence was visible in those areas as they worked to gather intelligence. Patrol officers were instructed to remain alert for vehicles matching the description given by witnesses. Despite the immediate efforts, no arrests were made in the days following the incident. The investigation remained open, with detectives continuing to follow leads, cross-reference evidence, and appeal to the public for cooperation. News of Kevin Watson's death spread quickly through the South Austin neighborhood. People living nearby gathered at the site, some lighting candles and placing flowers where the shooting had happened. The parking lot became a place where residents came together to show respect. Community leaders addressed the incident by urging people to remain united. They spoke about the importance of working together to prevent more tragedies and emphasized that the area could not afford to lose more lives to gun violence. Local organizations stepped forward with offers of support. Some groups provided counseling services for those who witnessed the event, while others organized safe spaces for young people to spend time away from the streets. These actions were intended to ease the fear that had grown in the neighborhood. The story also gained attention on social media platforms. Posts circulated calling for justice and sharing messages about Kevin's life. His name trended in local circles as people expressed sadness and concern for the ongoing problem of shootings in the city. Faith leaders played a role in the response as well. Churches held services where Kevin was remembered, and pastors spoke about the need for peace and protection within the community. Attendance at these gatherings grew in the days following the incident. Residents of South Austin also reached out to city officials, demanding more safety measures. Meetings were organized where people voiced their worries and asked for action. These efforts highlighted the level of frustration and fear many families felt. Through these actions, the community tried to balance grief with determination. While the pain of losing Kevin was clear, the response showed a desire to come together and find ways to prevent future violence in the neighborhood. Local news stations were quick to report on Kevin Watson's death. Broadcasts opened with footage of flashing police lights and yellow tape stretched across the parking lot. Reporters explained the details of what had happened and described the scene as another instance of violence striking the West Side. Newspapers carried the story the next morning. Articles provided Kevin's age, the location of the incident, and statements from authorities. Some included information about the rise in shootings across Chicago, linking this case to a broader pattern of crime that had worried residents for months. Online outlets gave continuous updates as more details emerged. Headlines repeated Kevin's name and highlighted his identity, bringing his case into wider public attention. Social media accounts shared links to these articles, making sure the story circulated beyond just the local area. National platforms also picked up the incident. Larger networks presented the shooting as part of ongoing issues within urban communities, often pairing it with statistics and commentary about citywide violence. By doing so, Kevin's story became a symbol of a much larger problem. Commentators discussed the case on talk shows and radio segments. Some focused on the facts surrounding the shooting, while others debated potential solutions to violence. The event became a topic that extended beyond Kevin's personal story into larger public conversations. Digital forums and discussion boards saw people exchanging opinions about the case. While many expressed sympathy for the victim, others centered their discussions on law enforcement strategies and safety concerns in South Austin. Kevin's name continued to appear across multiple platforms. Through this wave of coverage, Kevin Watson's story remained in public view. Media attention ensured that the circumstances of his death were not ignored and that conversations about safety and accountability continued in the days after the shooting. Detectives began piecing together the timeline immediately after Kevin Watson's death. They collected shell casings from the scene and marked the positions of evidence in the parking lot. Every detail was photographed and logged for review. Witnesses who had been nearby were asked to describe what they saw. Some mentioned a vehicle that approached Kevin before the shooting, though descriptions varied. Investigators compared these statements to determine which details matched consistently. Security cameras from surrounding businesses were also checked. Footage showed vehicles entering and leaving the area around the time of the incident. Detectives reviewed these clips carefully, hoping to identify patterns or a clear image of the offender's car. Police worked with forensic specialists to analyze the evidence. Ballistic testing was initiated on the recovered casings to see if they matched weapons used in other cases. This process was part of a larger effort to connect incidents across different neighborhoods. Officers canvassed nearby blocks, looking for additional cameras or residents who might have noticed unusual activity. Small details, such as a license plate or a description of clothing, could potentially narrow down suspects. Every lead was followed with urgency. Investigators also checked Kevin's background to determine whether he had any disputes or ongoing issues that might have placed him at risk. These inquiries were not meant to cast judgment, but to build a complete picture of possible motives. By the end of the initial phase, authorities had gathered physical evidence, collected testimonies, and started pursuing connections to broader crime patterns. While no arrests had been made, the progress marked the foundation of an active and ongoing investigation. Here at Unseen Crime Dossiers, we're driven by a mission to uncover hidden realities, honor forgotten voices, and keep their memories alive. If the story made you pause, reflect, or feel something, there's more coming that will challenge you even deeper. Make sure to hit subscribe, tap the like button, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a case. We're dropping new episodes regularly, and trust us, what's ahead is even more chilling. Before you go, we want to hear from you. What moment hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments. Your perspective matters, and your voice helps keep these stories alive. Until next time, stay alert, stay informed, and never stop seeking the truth, because every life deserves to be heard.